That people on the fringe, why is it that people on the fringe right seem to engage in conspiracies more? Is it a coincidence that Benny Johnson and Charlie Kirk are more interested in the Epstein files? Is it a coincidence that Rogan was, talking so much about Epstein killing himself versus being murdered? Why do we hear more?
Before Tim obliterates and annihilates Chris Cuomo, Tim Dillon is going to absolutely destroy Chris Cuomo. I want you to know that Chris Cuomo deserves to be destroyed and annihilated by Tim Dillon. Because wait a minute. This thing has been investigated. There's no conspiracies about it. Why is he defending Epstein? That's weird. Makes me wonder about a lot of things. Why is Chris Cuomo defending this person? But Tim Dillon, go ahead and take it away.
Well, I think there's people on the fringe left, if you remember, and I listen, I think Epstein probably was murdered. I mean, I don't think based on the idea that the cameras went out and the guards fell asleep, and he had information on some of those most powerful people in the world, and his best friend, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Seymour Hersh, wrote a book alleging that he was an agent of the Mossad, and they had what clearly seems like a honeypot operation, and that all of these politicians were on his jet. Like, it feels like, again, just from an outsider's point of view, he got a sweetheart deal for the first time he was accused and convicted of being inappropriate with a minor. And I don't know the exact terminology. He did a lot more than...
Yeah, and I don't want to, I'm just going to kind of skip right there, because he's saying a lot of words again that's going to trick something off. By the way, guys, thank you for watching. If everybody can hit the like and subscribe button and the notification bell, would really help me out a lot. Thanks again. Now, with that said, so what we have here that's going on is Tim Dillon having to explain something obvious. Something like, wait, what is going on? What did you hear what he said too? Politicians on list. We don't want to know who. How many decisions were made based off, and I haven't talked about this piece of paper, right? Because, you got to be careful with your channel, blah, blah, blah. But how many politicians, when was this happening? What kind of decisions were made based off of this kind of blackmail that were detrimental to this country? That's what it's about. It's not about some fun movie. Let's make a movie about this guy. And, we want to laugh about it. But no. What trajectory is this country going on? From both the left and the right. That we probably wouldn't have been in had this thing not existed.
This intriguing, weird figure who's connected to all of these very powerful people and has an island where people are going to meet up with underage women, and all of these people are coming out and testifying to that effect. And then right before his trial, he dies. I mean, Chris, let's be honest. If we're talking about the mafia and we're talking about a guy that had information on all of these big, powerful people, and he gets whacked, does not a part of your brain, and I'm, Kirk or Johnson or Rogan or whoever, or me or anybody who's looking at this, and people on the left and the fringe left also has some conspiracies. One of them was that Donald Trump was an agent of Russia. And by the fringe left, I mean every media organization, including...
Exactly. Even, including the one that he worked in. So it's like, these people will gaslight you and make you feel like, you're wrong for asking questions. Although, don't get me wrong, they do it on the right for sure, for Ben Shapiro's favorite country. But in the meantime, since this is not that topic for right now, which actually it could be. We could actually, but anyway. So, but, people are telling, how do you not want to know? I mean, it makes me look at you kind of funny, Chris Cuomo. How could you not want to know? Like, why does he have to explain this obvious thing to you? It's not adding up. It's just simply not.
The one you used to work for every day was Russiagate. So to me, it's like, don't you look at the Epstein thing and for a minute say to yourself, yes, it is possible that this guy who is involved in potentially blackmailing people, but certainly involved in human trafficking and connected to all these wealthy powerful people gets whacked before he can say any of their names?
Yes. I think it's very curious.
That's all he had was, I think it's very curious. I think I have more to this. But, Benny Johnson says, Chris Cuomo name dropped me, Charlie Kirk and Joe Rogan, which, by the way, like Benny Johnson and Charlie Kirk, I'm sorry, just very disappointing characters, but whatever. Smearing us as conspiracy theorists and extremists for demanding the situation files to be, and the truth behind his ending. Tim Dillon went scorched earth. Then he goes, talking about what's going on. And that's all that he had. I mean, that's really all Chris Cuomo had was to say, I guess that is questionable. That is kind of, we wonder why that would happen. Maybe we should talk about it. Now, I do have Kyle Kulinski, who, there are times where I agree with some of the stuff he says, but it's like on that one time. Well, no, 2 times. He will call out like what he calls the robber barons, and there's certain names now I can't say them. I can't say them because I know they're being picked up. He will call them out. I just want to see his position on this. And he calls out that small country about all the identity stuff. Like, you can miss me with that. I mean, but you really, to be honest, MAGA does it too. They do it for Ben Shapiro's favorite country, straight up. I don't care.
By saying, like, why is it always these right-wingers who are obsessed with these crazy conspiracies, like that Epstein didn't kill himself?
And by the way, don't take him too serious because, he still believes in, like, left and right. And so he always still has an issue with right-wing voices and stuff, and it is kind of annoying, but,
Because let me tell you something. The right has been so utterly full of shit on this question because they talk about Epstein all the time, but then they bury their head in the sand the second a tremendous amount of evidence comes out saying that Donald Trump was buddies with Jeffrey Epstein and he's definitely in the Epstein files. So you are giving the right way too much credit by pretending that they're honest actors who are looking for the truth and they've come to the conclusion that the Epstein thing was a conspiracy theory. No, the Epstein thing is definitely a conspiracy theory, but it's people on the left who deserve more credit because we're the ones who've come out and said, yeah, I don't think Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, but also Bill Clinton is in those files, and also Donald Trump is in those files. So we're the only actual honest ones in the entire conversation. And he gives too much credit to the right. He thinks he's besmirching the right, but he's actually giving them credit by saying, why is it the right-wingers who are always talking about Epstein? I'm talking about Epstein all the time. I'm on the left. The difference is I'm honest about all of it, including Trump. Whereas ask any fucking right-wing asshole, hey, is Bill Clinton in the Epstein files? Oh, of course he is. Is Donald Trump in it? Well, things and stuff, bro. And maybe he's in it, but not in the way that you think he's in it. It's this other way that I can't even describe. But yeah, he was on his jet 7 times. But those were leisurely flights. Those had nothing to do with underage girls.
And look, and I don't want to keep on getting into, I'm about to do the same thing that he says that the right does. And it's like, I don't want to keep getting into things like that as far as, allegations. Okay. But I will say, what I have seen from MAGA influencers, I won't say all of MAGA. When I say MAGA, I'm not talking about all MAGA. Because I know that MAGA on the ground, regular, like, people who go to work and everything, they're wondering, when are some of these promises going to get kept? Don't get it twisted. That mess that's happening in LA right now is absolutely orchestrated. Okay? Like, we need to be 10 steps ahead. Because mass deportations, right? That's what people said they wanted. Okay, we want it. The military is going to do mass deportations. They haven't deported a single person in there. Why? Because these are paid actors. And all that's happening is that we're setting the precedent and the scene and the tone for people to beg the military to keep coming to their state, to their neighborhood. I had to check myself because I used to do it too. And I was like, we need mass, get the military in here. And listen, shout out to my military servicemen and women. Shout out to them all day. However, we don't need to keep invoking that, right? Because how long until... Remember, the terror always comes home. Like the Patriot Act, when they said that we're getting the terrorists outside in the Middle East. But then with January 6th, and they said that the terror came home. And somebody would be like, well, that's the Democrats who did that. Okay, cool, but we're setting a precedent for them to be able to do it if they were to take power again. However, there is one topic that they will call us terrorists for, right? Pay attention to what's going on. I don't like seeing people riot and bash things up and everything, but let me tell you, there has to be some sort of stand down order or something from the LAPD. And we know the LAPD is crooked. We already know that. Like, I mean, we knew that from Biggie, right? So there has to be something, because at the end of the day, they could round all these people up. They have the tools to do it and the training to do it too. It just escalates. It's like an algorithm. Okay, we're now on stage orange, you know? We've moved up. Let's do stage orange type of things. But instead, they're running around after a bunch of kids in masks, and now they got the Marines out there in L.A. So what did I just do there? You know, it's all the same. It's like, look, he's right. That's what brought me there, because I'm like, how do we go from, from Tim Dillon? He's right about that. But Tim Dillon definitely handled Cuomo like he should handle Cuomo, because Cuomo deserves to be handled. Look, Tim Dillon is a comedian. I'm sure he's a good guy. As far as I have no problem with him, okay? This is probably not what he expected to do. But things aren't making sense so much in the country that you now have a podcast where you got to talk about these politics. And you're raging in on some, like, I don't want to say he's entry level. I don't know him. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's holding back a little bit. But it's like, you know, the little bit that he can say, he's like, all right, let me try to say something, you know? And Cuomo's still trying to defend. I don't even think mainstream still tries to defend the E guy. Amazing.